Welcome to the Cowpart Bros podcast. I am your host, Terrence, and with me is my co-host, Jason, calling in from the Batcave in Indianapolis. Jason, how are you, my good man?
Hey man, you know what it is? It's Tuesday. So you know what that means? It's time to record another episode of Cow Park Bros. I'm excited and fired up. Tuesday used to be a lame day of the week, but guess what? Now it's game day of the week, buddy, because it means it's game time for another episode, shooting it up. So definitely excited about that. It's been a good start to the week so far. Had some big things to look forward to later in the week. So to put this as icing on the cake for Tuesday, hey man, let's do it.
Right on. Thank you for listening, fans, folks. We are excited to kick off episode 17 of the Cowpart Bros podcast. For the uninitiated, Cowpart Bros is a weekly podcast for fans of culture, sports, life, and entertainment.
And as always, we're your hosts, Terrence and Jason. And every single Thursday, we release a brand new episode where we discuss the current events of the day, sports, and the athletes we love.
And even some of the athletes we loathe. Folks, no matter the topic, you can expect a brutally honest and fun exchange of snark while learning through the lens of our 30 years of friendship that originated in Calumet Park, Illinois.
For more Cal Park Bros content, connect with us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube under the handle Cal Park Bros or Cal Park Bros Podcast for more behind the scenes of the Cal Park Bros show and to engage with us every single day. But also, the Cal Park Bros Podcast is available to listen and subscribe for free wherever you listen to podcasts.
Like us, love us, share us, follow us. And if you like us, why wouldn't you?
Again, as always, I say it every time. It's the best line in podcast history, man. You know it, you love it, you learn it. But the important part is you actually do it. So thank you for that, people. Keep it up.
Right on. Jason, we're going to kick off the show with a very, heavy topic. I know we were discussing last week certain events that may not paint Chicago in the brightest of lights like Lollapalooza. But this week, we have something that's a little heavier, and that is the shooting of two police officers in Chicago over the weekend. I'm going to reference the ABC 7 news story here. Surveillance video shows traffic stop before a fatal shooting of Chicago Police Department officer Ella French, 2 charged. 2 people have been charged in the fatal shooting of 29-year-old officer Ella French. And I want to make sure I get the name right because, listen, we call to attention, we call out when people are involved in tragedies. And the fact that this police officer was killed in a line of duty is no different. We're going to be consistent, no matter what feelings people may have about police departments or police officers. The reality is, Ella French was somebody to somebody other than just who she was and what she did for a living. So Ella French was the police officer that was shot and killed. Her partner remains in the hospital after being shot. Amante Morgan is charged with first-degree murder, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, and an unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, according to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Eric Morgan, Amante's brother, 22, is charged with aggravated unlawful use of a weapon, unlawful use of a weapon by a felon, and obstruction of justice. The State's Attorney's Office continued. Amante Morgan killed both French and shot her partner 3 times. His brother Eric, police say, was driving the car the officers had pulled over for expired tags. The ABC 7 investigation team had acquired a still frame of police body cam footage from the night of the fatal shooting that shows the moment before the firefight began. It shows Officer French shining her flashlight into the driver's side of the car where Eric is allegedly sitting. The passenger is not being identified by ABC 7 at this time, as she has not been charged in the incident. When Officer French asked Eric Morgan to hand over the car keys and get out, he did. But police say Amante, who was sitting in the back seat, would not cooperate. Investigators say he struggled with police and had his gun in his waistband. According to officials, both officers had their guns holstered when Amante pulled out a gun and fired at both officers. Both officers fell to the ground, and body cameras were still rolling and captured the suspects stepping over the officers' bodies while carrying a gun. Amante and Eric Morgan were both ordered held without bond. That really shouldn't surprise a lot of people. Sorry. um, Amante did not appear in court because he is being hospitalized at Christ Hospital in Oak Lawn after police shot him following the shootings of French and her partner. So that that's pretty crazy. Um, that that's how that played out. And I know there's also been some follow up and feedback about the dispatcher and how they handle the crisis, and just from a crisis management perspective. But really, I just want to start with, we called out the name of the victim. Whatever people's feelings about the police, listen, the reality is that lady was doing her job. So, Jason, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, so when I first read the details of it, my initial thought was, even though I have other thoughts about what wound up happening, this all started because of a traffic stop. Like you said, Ella French, 29. I'll come back to that part as well. But Ella French and her partner were just doing their job, pulling over a vehicle that had expired tags. I've been pulled over for the same thing in the past. So it's pretty minor. Shouldn't be a big deal. But unfortunately, one person lost their life and another person is struggling to not do the same. Still in the hospital now. Um, so when I think about it like that, it just reminds me, unfortunately, that in many cases, there's a lot of people out there who, for one reason or another, don't value human life in general. They might value their own to some degree, but they don't value the lives of others. Because Monte, for whatever reason, it doesn't matter if it was gang related something, if he just didn't want to go to jail, or he was drunk, high, doesn't really matter. For whatever the reason, he chose to take at least, well, he tried to take two officers' lives. He took one of them. So even if it was just because he didn't want to go to jail, go back to jail, he took someone's life that's gone forever. So, and even if he had gone back to jail for whatever gun possession he was, on probation for, he would have gotten maybe 10 years, which is a long time. But now you're about to probably be in prison the rest of your life, most likely. I'd be shocked if he didn't.
For killing a cop?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. For whatever, regardless of what happens to the other officer, whether that person dies or not, doesn't matter. You killed one of them. It's on camera. And the fact that the camera shows him stepping over the bodies, that alone is going to not help you. That's going to help you, get the key turned on you when you step in that cell, because that just shows you really didn't care. You just stepping over the body, knowing that one of them was probably dead, and maybe even the other one, depending on what his status, because you shot him in the head too. So probably thought he was dead. So clearly you didn't care. So to me, it just is a reminder that there are people out there that don't value your life as just in general as a human being. You know, you can value your life over somebody else as you should, but that doesn't mean you should give no crap about other person's life. But this person didn't. That's my initial thought initially. But then it goes to, like you mentioned, Ella French was somebody to somebody. I know she had a brother that spoke about this, so she was a sister to somebody. She was a daughter to somebody. She had other family that considered her a loved one, and she was only 29 years old. So clearly, she was still young. If you got a 2 in front of your age, I don't care how old you feel, you're still young. But unfortunately, she's not gonna reach the age to see the 3 in front of her, in front of her age. So I think to that. I didn't find any articles that mentioned she had like a family, like a husband or wife or kids. If she did, I'm definitely condolences to them. But my next thoughts then went to what you already mentioned and what I just talked about. These dudes are, well, not both of them, but Monte, he's done. He's done. He's going to, and I personally hope that they give him just life in prison. Don't give him that ridiculous number of you're going to have to serve 200 years in prison. No, just life. No messing around with it. You're done. Life, no parole. You're done. Goodbye. See you later. And I tell you what, he's very fortunate that Illinois got rid of the death penalty, years ago. Because otherwise, he'd probably be up for that. Not that I'm in favor of the death penalty, but not my choice. It's based off his actions. So, um, yeah, it's just crazy, man. And again, I mentioned on the radio on the show before, I think, that I used to be a corrections officer, over a decade ago, 15 years ago, whatever it was. And they used to ask me all the time, "Hey, man, you're really good at what you do. You ever thought about, working on the road, being an actual officer?" And my immediate answer to them was always, "No, thank you." Because even back then, back in the early 2000s, even back then, I knew that I could just see people don't really, even taking the human being aspect of it, people don't respect police officers to the point that they're willing to fight you, stab you, shoot you, bite your limbs off, whatever it is. I've seen it all happen. And I'm like, no, I'm not putting myself into that because I'm not losing my life or having somebody try to take my life just because they don't want a traffic ticket or they don't want to go back to jail or I always run for the always do this from the police because that's what I do. I'm like, I'm not dealing with that. And unfortunately, you know, this is why it's. And the last thing I'm gonna let you say your piece, but you mentioned that they had a still video of the like body cam footage or whatever,
Right.
and the one showing where Eric was in the front seat looking at the other officer with Ella French in the the driver's side window, flashing the light in. And my thought is that with that still video, that's going to be all over the media. So unfortunately, her family, and it's got to be sad for them because I can just empathize with them. That's got to be heart wrenching to know that still video is a video of the last moments of her life.
Right. Yeah. In a weird way, it's almost like, fuck, I wish that footage didn't exist because, you know, you know how sometimes someone gets injured in a sporting event and they literally put the shit on a fucking loop.
Yeah.
I feel like if there was video, and we've seen this with other scenarios involving the Chicago Police Department when frankly, it didn't look real positive for the police department. Laquan McDonald, for example, that video made the fucking rounds. Okay. And even the most staunchest police advocate might have taken issue with that. So, Jason, I feel like both of those guys are probably going to get fried. Not literally, but they are going to put them under the jail, and probably with good reason.
Well,
And
I,
and this is just the beginning because not only did the two brothers get obviously were arrested and looking at some life-changing jail time, rightfully so, but also the Northern District of Illinois U.S. Attorney's Office, they charged, and I'm referencing the United States Department of Justice, justice.gov, by the way. They arrested an Indiana man with federal firearm violations for allegedly conspiring to straw purchase a semi-automatic handgun that the charges alleged were used to shoot two officers. Basically, this is how they're saying, hey, you weren't in that car, but you were involved with the purchase of this illegal firearm. You are effectively responsible for Ella French's death. That's what's happening. They said Jamel Danzy purchased a firearm at a federal firearms dealer in Hammond, Indiana on March 18, 2021, and falsely certified on the required forms that he was the actual buyer, according to a criminal complaint filed in U.S. District Court in Chicago. In reality, Danzy was a straw purchaser who bought the gun at the request of someone who Danzy knew that resided in Chicago and was not lawfully allowed to purchase a firearm due to felony criminal conviction, the complaint states. Danzy gave the firearm to the Illinois resident shortly after the purchase, the complaint states. Oh boy. They are going to fry that guy.
And people always ask, how do these criminals get all these guns? Well, here's one example. There you go.
And on this show, by the way, we have talked about the complexity of going all in on violence in Chicago, ignoring the fact that the Indiana border is literally 30 minutes east. So, interstate commerce, there's a lot of foul shit going down in Chicago. Chances are because of somebody in Indiana. That's not to besmirch a good name in Indiana. That's not to besmirch a good name in Indianapolis. That's simply addressing the fact you got two states that share a border. And bad people don't respect boundaries. If anything, they take advantage of them. Okay? That's why the federal level is getting involved now. You got the city level, you got the state level, and now you got the federal level. There's multiple layers of this shit. And so, personally, I'm fucking relieved that they're going down the rabbit hole and saying, hey, it's not just these two fucking schmucks in this car, okay? There's something much bigger than that. So basically, the straw purchase is like, hey, I show up to purchase it, but really, I'm a front for somebody who can't get this gun on their own, which chances are there's a good fucking reason why you can't get that gun. So, yeah, they're going to fry him too. Not literally, but figuratively. And chances are he's got it coming. Because think about how many people, how many citizens have met an untimely demise because of some fucking asshole like this. So that's all I got.
Well, yeah. I mean, definitely, they're all gonna fry with at the level that all can be fried. I mean, clearly, Monty or Monte, however you pronounce his name, don't really care. He definitely should be the fry extra crispy, burnt on the side. That's how much he should be fried for what he did. I mean, like you mentioned a couple of times, no matter what you think about police officers or policing or anything like that, I'm not going to share my opinion on that. But like I said, Elle was just doing her job. You were being pulled over because you did something wrong by driving a car that had expired tags. You were asked to get out of the car because you admitted that you had weed in the car, and there was open alcohol containers in the car. You did that. Your fault, not anybody else's. You knew you were a felon and weren't supposed to have a gun. You knew that. But yet you had it with you in the car doing all the other illegal activity. So clearly you had no common sense either.
Right.
So I don't care why he was getting all agitated and being uncooperative. Doesn't matter.
He was being uncooperative because he knew his ass was about to go to jail.
Fair enough.
It's literally, okay, how much more probable cause bingo do you want to fucking play tonight? So, the brothers aren't exactly sympathetic characters right now, okay?
Oh, not at all. Not at all.
Fucking Nelson Mandela. So, we can definitely put a pin on that. I feel like what really is going to be interesting whenever this actually does go to trial, assuming it does go to trial, is who else is going to be caught in this web of deception, because those guns, it's just one guy right now, according to the feds. Question is it bigger than that?
I do want to read one thing
Go for it.
I think most of this, well, from my side of it, has been talking about Monty, and obviously his charges reflect his actions. Wow, it's like worse than Eric's. But I do want to read something that does give a little more insight into what Eric was doing during all this. So I'm gonna start with the part that kind of ends talking about Monty and stepping over the camera. But both officers fell to the ground face up. Their body camera is still recording. Murphy said. Murphy is one of the prosecutors. At one point, Morgan could be seen stepping over the 39-year-old wounded officer's body before stepping out of view. Now, in the meantime, Eric Morgan had run off during the struggle, and the third officer had chased after him, Murphy said. When that officer heard gunshots, he ran back and exchanged gunfire with Monty Morgan before falling to the ground. Eric Morgan, the guy who tried running off, well, actually ran off, Eric ran back towards his brother and then handed the gun to him, according to court documents. The third officer got back up and shot and hit Monty in the chest or abdomen area. So, at a separate bond hearing on Tuesday afternoon, judge ordered Eric Morgan held without bond. Blah 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 blah. But I wanted to point that out there because Eric had a chance to leave the situation, which was still not good for him to be running. But he came back to the situation and basically made the situation worse by handing off guns and stuff like that. So yeah, Eric definitely is not innocent. All those charges aren't going to bear out to Monty's as they shouldn't, but he still has 3 felonies on it being charged with, and he admitted one of them admitted to actually pulling out the weapon and shooting it at the officers. So that's already been admitted. It's on camera, confession, video, witnesses, probable cause. Yeah, Monty's definitely getting life in prison. We'll see what happens with Eric. I'm sure he's not going to be, taking any plea deals to make stuff worse for a brother. But
well, we're assuming that a plea deal is going to be offered. So
you never know.
That is rather presumptuous that the Cook County State's Attorney is even going to be interested in a plea deal. I mean, this is as close to a smoking gun, literally and figuratively, as you're going to get.
Yeah, I agree.
And there are some optics. There are some political implications in the case of this particular incident. The police are a very sympathetic entity, because here you are. You have a young woman who lost her life. You have another officer. Like I said, the young men involved. Granted, they were black. That being said, those motherfuckers were not Nelson Mandela. Okay, these were not any of the young black men that we've referenced in countless police involved shootings in the last 4, 5, 6 years. Okay, it's apples and fucking aircraft carriers. All right, there is a swath, a chasm of difference. Okay, I can literally not give you a full visual for how much different this is from all those scenarios where people were like, all cops are bastards. We're not proposing that tonight, because the evidence isn't there. Like, we're not talking about a Tamir Rice scenario. Like, these guys would have done damage in your neck of the woods. Okay, that's what it is.
Well, I'm gonna go on a limb and say that there's probably not gonna be anybody defending these dudes. I mean, there's gonna be people say, "Well, wait till the body cam footage comes out." Okay, fair enough. But I don't think there's gonna be anybody. Well, hang on. I'm just saying.
Because listen, your mind was already made up when this story came up. Not you, Jason. I'm talking about people. I feel a lot of people kind of had their mind made up whether they were going to feel sorry for these 2 officers or not. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'm not talking about the officers. I'm talking about defending the Morgan brothers. I don't think there's going to be anybody doing that. There may be some people that may say, "Wait till the body cam footage comes out so we can see it." There's going to be those people, because there are, and that's fine. But well, hang on. I'm just saying, because there are. Whether you agree with them or not, there's going to be people that say that
They exist. That's fair.
right. And what I'm saying is, I think even after that, I mean, you never know. But even after that, I don't think there's anybody going to be defending these dudes. It's kind of like that one video that came out to where the officer shot the girl who was fighting in the yard and they shot her. I can't remember her name, but then video footage came out showing the girl had a knife, whatever. All those people
Oh,
trying to defend
yeah.
her went away. I don't think there's this. I think with enough information out there already, supposedly the body cam footage that is confirming this stuff, which I'm sure that footage is going to come out eventually, probably not during trial after they pick a jury, I'm sure, because you don't want to contaminate that jury. You don't want to do that for sure. But eventually that's going to come out. But I don't think there's going to be anybody defending these dudes just based off the information we have right now. I mean, how can you? If there's anybody out there that's what can defend these dudes right now, definitely let me know. Please, I'd love to hear your opinion on this. We can talk about it, but I don't see how.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like this is about as open and shut as we can get. And the only way I really feel like the police can overplay their hand, at least in the court of public opinion on this one, Jason, if they go a little too crazy with the Blue Lives Matter stuff. That's the only time when I feel like, okay, we have, like I've stated, we have a sympathetic character here. This lady literally died, Ella French. Okay, I'm gonna say her name again because I believe the names matter. Okay, um, but the optics of people going all Blue Lives Matter, ignoring the fact that people aren't born cops. Okay, that is the only caveat I can offer in this and concern where people are going to use this woman's death to basically try to ram the propaganda about Blue Lives Matter in people's faces and almost try and do what 9/11 in some ways did for the United States flag, where like basically if you didn't full throatedly endorse police officers, that you were effectively a terrorist. So that's my only concern. I'm not trying to infer that we're there. I'm simply stating it's possible. That's it.
Well, my last thought on that part, I'll let it go. But I think anybody talking about Blue Lives Matter, I don't think it's about that. It's not about that. It's not about Ella French being a officer. I mean, obviously she was in the situation, but it goes back to what I said originally. It's lives matter. This life mattered. Because take off that uniform, you're still a person, right? And I just think in general, those in this situation, those two individuals, Monty in particular, didn't value that human life, at all. I mean, he just didn't. He didn't care. I want to say what I want to say, but I'm trying not to use too many f bombs. But he just didn't give a f. He didn't care. He just felt like I'm not going to jail for whatever reason, and again took away somebody's life forever. So it's not about him not valuing the cop's life, or it's about him not valuing that other human being's life. And that's a problem that we all need to think about on different levels. Like I said before, you may not go to the point of shooting somebody and killing them for no reason, but think about the ways you in your own life don't value the life of another human for whatever reason. I'll put that on me. That I'm sure I need to evaluate that, as I'm sure Terrence does as well. But I'm gonna drop it in my spiel right there.
Well, Jason, thank you again for your thoughts. I feel like we hit the right notes on this discussion because it's like, okay, anytime we talk about the loss of life in Chicago, people stand at the ready to watch for you to say something stupid. And I feel like we hit the right notes. We talked about um, Ella French with the dignity that, frankly, she deserved, her life, her death. We talked about the complexities of talking about violence in Chicago. And lastly, we talked about the concerns of propaganda involving pro police support. And we did all those things basically without besmirching that lady's good name. So good on you, man. Respect. And we're going to put a bow on that segment. So coming up next, we're going to talk about the rapper DaBaby, and basically how he talked himself out of a cushy gig at Lollapalooza and some potential gigs in the future. Coming up next on Cal Park Bros.